You're listening to the Reinvest Podcast, where each Tuesday we show business owners and entrepreneurs how to diversify into real estate by equipping you with the tools and tactics to build generational wealth. Your hosts, Garrett Gatton and Seth Ciminillo. Hey guys, it's episode 160 of the Reinvest Podcast. Very excited to be here today.
We're creeping on 200.
Yeah, we are. We're knocking on the door, that's for sure. And when you try and crank one of these out every week, that happens faster than one might think. We've interviewed a lot of really awesome people over 160 episodes. And this is
And we got another one
section.
today.
We got another one.
We got another one today.
This one hits a little close to home, though.
It does.
We're going to talk to another high-performing real estate team, Herr, out of the Cincinnati area. Heather, I know Seth was talking to you off camera a little bit before I came in. We just saw you.
Yeah.
We weren't on stage. We were in the crowd, which probably shows how who's who in this situation. So Heather, give us a little context, the brokerage, and then where you guys are at right now in the real estate agent space.
Yes. So thank you for having me. Again, I'm Heather Herr, and I am the founder and CEO of Private Real Estate Collection. And then my team, that's the main team, is Team Herr. My last name is Herr. So, and I've been in business 21 years. I started with a small company in Cincinnati, Ohio, mostly based at the office that I was in was downtown Cincinnati. I always loved urban living. Was there about 15 years and took my time raising a family during the time. And then I got recruited by Coldwell Banker to have a team, learn the whole team thing. And was there for a while. Teams were becoming mega. And I decided that I really wanted to have my own brand, my own name. So I partnered with a company called Side, and they're based out of San Francisco. I really like the idea of how they operated. They're a tech platform, and they're really there just to be your platform and to help support you. And so it's learning how to do everything. It's not just being a realtor. You have to do everything. And I kind of knew how to do that leaving Coldwell Banker, but had no idea that I didn't, which I don't think most agents do. So now I do own my company, but I do have a partner, I guess, essentially on the back end.
So, and you said, like, fast forward to today, it's a team of 4? Is that what you said?
There are about 4 producing agents. One additional is more of a showing assistant, but starting to really do a lot. And then I have 4 people that are on a salary. So they do back end, operations, office management, that kind of stuff, marketing.
That's awesome.
21, you've been in the business 21 years?
Yes, and I still like it. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Do what you love, right? And love what you do. So talk about being an agent when you first got in the industry and some of the changes you've seen between then and now.
Yeah, I mean, it was so different. We didn't really have, obviously the MLS was around, but even not too long before that, they didn't even have that. They had the books and everything.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of digital. And backing up a little bit, before I got into real estate, I worked for a customer relationship management software company called Siebel Systems, and they were huge global. And I used to travel and teach this to large corporations. So I had a pretty good tech background. And so the CRM platform was starting to come out. So, everything we did was more manual. We turned things in. And I just always kind of knew that something was going to get bigger. Dot Loop came into play, and Allison lived in actually Cincinnati at the time. I was like so excited about that platform and knew it was going to blow up, which did.
Are you saying Dot Loop originated out of Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
He's in California now, but like he came up with that idea, and I was like, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. So that was kind of
invested in the ground floor.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been part of that, but I wasn't. Austin, take note of that. Next time. I always loved
next
it.
time you have a groundbreaking idea, you let me know.
Give me a heads up. Golly.
I do actually talk to a lot of people in the AI and the whole tech world. They constantly are come after me with ideas. There's a lot of noise in that area. And I think it's like it can be overwhelming right now, to the point where I think agents are like, oh my God, I love this. And then you're spending money here and there and everywhere. But like really, I kind of go back to the basics all the time.
Yeah.
And the company that I partner with has really a really good tech stack, I should say. And I pick and choose what I want, but I definitely have good systems. So
You're talking about the company you work with as far as for your CRM and what you're using operationally on the back end, or what?
Yeah. And they just make recommendations, like we like these companies, and other big, huge founders will come in. A lot of people in the company that are there doing $1 billion a year, so they're big. They know the systems, but it's not right for everyone. I've learned Some tools are not great for me. And then going back to that first experience, I think like I wasn't a natural born salesperson at all whatsoever, but I have a background in art and art history and architecture. So that was kind of how I started. And I loved writing. So
Mm.
there was no chat GPT. There
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? I was just like walking around the neighborhood with the kids and just really got into storytelling into the neighborhood. So
Wow. I think what's interesting is you watch somebody who's been pretty successful in what they do. Almost unanimously, there's a natural curiosity towards whatever they're doing. It's
yes,
never, it's like fine, the money's there, you know what I'm saying? But it goes beyond that because what happens, how do you really go from like a 6 to a 9 or a 6 to a 10 in excellence? It's by that natural
Yeah.
curiosity of like, I'd be doing this even if I wasn't selling
right,
houses as an agent. I'd be looking at architecture. I'd be
right.
looking at, Italian marble and all this different stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And the neighborhood that I started in was a historic neighborhood and I loved that. Now I'm kind of into my Florida coastal home and I still love, I'm getting tired of the work on my own historic home. However, it's still very popular and it's a niche that I had.
Hmm.
So I was really into it and I knew a lot of good contractors and people that wouldn't rip you off, if something was wrong. So I think that was really my key is to getting my foot in the door. And I was also in a neighborhood that was actually not very popular. And I think that was a really good place for me to start because there was no other agents really fighting for it, and
Yeah.
I was living there. So I'm like, why not? This is like I got it all.
Yeah, you were able to kind of put your flag in the ground there and just kind of claim it, and cut your teeth on something
Yeah.
without as extreme of competition. Because I'm sure there's a ton of competition in Cincinnati and the
It depends
surrounding
on the
areas.
neighborhood, yeah, for sure. It's changing a little bit, but and even in that neighborhood, there's still other agents. I'd say I own most of the market share there. There's always going to be I'm a very competitive person naturally, but if I don't get a listing, I just make sure that I sell it. And my whole team knows if I see something, I
Mm-hmm.
start freaking out. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you guys better sell this house immediately. So we start scraping the database and so it's kind of funny, but yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I would say that first office, gosh, I mean, we had our little cubicle and you didn't really need much more than a transaction coordinator here and there and people shared a TC and that was fine. I mean, I was only doing 15 million, which is enough. But then once you get really busy, you need to have your own help. And
Yeah.
so all of that changed as I went over to Coldwell Banker. But by the way, also the entire industry changed. It's changing again. So it's inevitable.
Yeah.
In what way do you think it's changing again?
Well, I think like for a while the team thing was huge. Everybody was doing mega teams. I mean, I could have had a mega team, but I think people are kind of going back to like this really great culture of like a smaller group that you really can help them each grow and not like 100 people in your office that you can't talk to and they feel like they're on some island. And I'm seeing a lot of companies do that. And despite the mergers that are happening right now, which I'm not saying that's a horrible thing for those people, for me, I would have literally like freaked out because I don't want to be sitting in a room with 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I like the smaller feel, the more boutique thing. So it's going to continue to change. Like that might be great for some people, but I'm seeing more large teams kind of break up into smaller groups, and that's working for them.
Yeah.
But everyone's different,
Interesting.
you
So,
know.
are you concerned at all, or what's kind of your ideology around your team? Are you worried that you're training these people and they're eventually just going to go off and do a competing
Yeah.
business essentially? Or is that your model? Or what's kind of the hope, I guess, as you're building this team, as you're building this culture? I mean, is it you just know they're going to at some point leave the nest?
Yeah, that's actually inevitable in any team building. And that happened to me when I first came to this company and brought my team. A lot of people just kind of felt they were getting a carrot dangled at the other company. They were average performers in my company. And so, quite frankly, as soon as I knew that that was happening, I was like, fine. I was helping them too much. So it was hard and painful to see that because you spend all your time. I invest in leads and training. But I also believe that every single person that joined my company would 10x their business. So if I could do it with that person, I could do it with the next 50 people that came in. But
Mm.
with that being said, the way that I run this company is that I'd like to have a sub team. So my goal in the next 5 years would be have 10 sub teams. So if one of my top agents says, I really just want to have my own thing, I'd say, great, well, then you can be your name under private real estate collection, which I think is a really cool name. And I'll give you all the training and tools and the back end stuff, and you run your company. So I think in this current setup, that would be the future.
Mm.
Most of the people that are on my team are very happy not doing that because I allow them to brand themselves within my company.
Yeah.
So people know them as a person and they respect them as their own brand. So it doesn't feel like we're just part of, one group or something.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of foresight there of being able to create a business model that stays ahead of the production and the evolution of your agents on your team.
I mean, it's already happening. I would be, they would, if they were all in the room here now, they would know that sometimes I come in we have a weekly meeting and I feel this sense of, and I hate to say this word, but it's true, entitlement. Once you start training, it's like teenagers even. I mean, I had three teenagers. Um, they want more if you give too much, sometimes without the discipline around it. So the thing is, I'm spending sometimes, $70,000 a month on marketing and leads. So I feel like I do not want to be a leader that's like, I control this, but I also want to remind them that I'm constantly investing in the growth of the company and them as a person. So if your top agent is doing 70 houses a year, they want to know that you're going to keep doing whatever it takes so they can do 100. That's all they care about. And that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm focused on.
That's
Yeah.
the when people talk about it's lonely at the top, that's what they're talking about right there. That it's your responsibility to think about how to get them to 100 houses,
Yeah.
and you just know in your head that's where they're at.
Yeah.
And it's not like, well, how do I help her? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're all just kind of focused on our own thing. And as a leader, if you want to retain people, you have to be thinking about them. And they're not going to think about you that way. And it doesn't mean that people are selfish. I'm not putting people down in that way. I mean, we have good employees and stuff, but it's just the reality.
That's the hardest part. I do think about having a team. So even these other people that had left my company that went off to start their own teams, I know for a fact that they're going to go through that. And it is lonely. I've already been through the lonely part. And so I walk a lot on my treadmill at home. And there's a lot of things that I do to deal with it. But there are days where I'm like, what am I thinking? But then it always works out because of that plan that we just talked about, where I
Mm-hmm.
constantly am thinking, because I always want to do better too. So if I want to be better, I know that they want to be better. They want to feel
Mm-hmm.
great. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of team leaders don't think about that. It's always about traditional teams is like you got the team lead and everybody knows about them and everyone else is running around them. And that doesn't really work, I don't think, anymore. I've seen some
Yeah.
shifts. So
So you think it was a net positive though at Caldwell Banker? I mean, do you feel like you really learned how to operate a team, or do you feel like it was like, hey, they had some good principles, but I've changed it now
yeah.
that you're doing your own thing?
I think they're great people. I loved their leadership team there. I did learn a lot of things that I didn't know how to do when it came to just structuring a team. I've changed every single thing that I did there, but with that being said, I still think that foundation was a good leverage to the next level because I could never have done what I'm doing unless I had that first. At least I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
think.
Right. They
Because
laid
even
a
some of the people
foundation
at
for you.
Side that I partnered, like, that are out there in California, they're just one or two people. So they don't know how to run an organization like I'm doing. And that took just that time. That took that time, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, dumb question. Do you have your broker's license?
No, I don't. That's a great question, actually.
Where do you hold your broker's license at? Like,
So
who are you
Side
underneath
actually
of?
does that for me. So we have a
Okay.
broker in each state. So I'm licensed in 3 states right now. One of the brokers that I have is in 2 states, and then one is just in Ohio for
That's
me.
interesting.
So that's one of the big services that they're providing is that
Yeah,
compliance that way. Yeah.
huge deal because I thought about becoming a broker, especially in Florida, and I'm in Florida now, and it's a little slower because it's slower. We had hurricanes. And God, I would have just been miserable trying to do that while I'm trying to embed myself in the community.
Yeah.
Can't do it all. I don't care what
Right.
I say.
Right.
And I think people are starting to realize that more and more brokers are reaching out to me like, hey, do you guys need a broker for another state? And I mean, that's not my role, but you're right. That's the hard part. That's really hard.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who really don't know the industry are like, well, why wouldn't you get your broker's license? And it's
I
like, I
know.
get that
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
but you got to understand, like,
It's a different
Wow.
business model too.
It's a
like you're starting
different
something
business
else.
model.
And like what you said, going from an agent to now maybe being in that seat where you're essentially a managing agent at this brokerage, right?
Yep.
So you're like, you are responsible now for these people, the compliance of these people,
Yep.
and it's a different business model than just I'm an agent working at a brokerage and I'm just running my own business. It's like a
Right.
completely different thing.
Even the same at like Coldwell Banker, where, we had continuing education where they were always keeping on top of that, or I don't know, questions for the broker. even though I have a broker, everyone still comes to me as the manager, but I have someone in place for that now. But at first they did. And you really need to know everything. So imagine dumping broker, like law, learning, all that stuff on top of you. It would just be counterproductive. And I'm still selling.
Hmm.
I know some people that get to my level don't, but I do enjoy the process of selling. So I try to do that just so I can keep my finger on the market too. If I'm not in the
Yeah.
market, seeing what's happening and doing a couple deals with clients, then I'm not going to be helpful to my team.
Yeah.
So I usually give away all my business, but occasionally I have a client that I'll work with, depending on, who they are. And always a listing, just so you know, like I'm on every single listing as the main agent,
Yeah.
which helps the brand.
Yeah.
So
Right. What do you think is, for agents moving forward here? We've seen a lot of rapid shifts in the last probably 3 or 4 years, right? Interest rates, low inventory, governmental change, and an oversaturation of agents, and then a retraction. Like, what are the keys now that you're talking about internally to your team to be successful in the next leg of the economy?
Oh yeah, so I don't ever look at in mortgage rates or anything. Like I worked during a recession, so I was killing it. I literally don't. When people complain, I'm like, I don't know. I just think you got to keep trying to shift things around. I was doing like high-end rentals at the time and just slamming people into rentals. So,
Mm.
but I just try to tell them not to listen too much to the noise. I mean, you have to be educated and understand and be able to walk into a room and have a conversation. And when you go into an appointment, you better know that neighborhood, you better know the conversation, you better know everything about it. And just that's all you really need to do. And then just stay up to date on like trends, and technology and things along those lines and personal branding. Every single person on my team has a really good capability of branding. They have great social media. And I think my advice would just to be continue doing that. Just stay on top, educate your audience out there, and constantly be learning every
What
day.
what were the things that you did in your business that put you kind of over critical mass? Because it's like you're buying leads, you're doing all these different
Yeah.
things, you get the listing and then the referral. But at what point did you kind of hit the slipstream where it's like, man, business is actually coming at us faster than the energy that we're putting out to get it?
Yeah, I think at one point we had like 40 houses on the market and I mean that was great. But then the market was starting to shift a little bit. I could feel it during the holidays and things were slowing and then it makes you feel really insecure that things aren't selling and you start to
Mm-hmm.
lose confidence. So I really kind of shifted some of the ways that we were taking listings and how we were pricing them and how we were putting them on the market and then how we were repositioning them and taking them back off again. And that was really good for us because once you lose confidence, I mean, agents lose confidence when they can't sell or sell their listings and then they don't produce. So then we kind of relaunched everything. And that was really good.
Mm.
So that was one part. I mean, and then same thing kind of goes with marketing. So during a more tired time, I don't know how your January was, but Cincinnati was slow.
Mm.
Mm.
But I said, listen, focus on, even though it's slow, like you are still a person out there that's educating other people. So you could be talking about anything really that just keeps you out there. So we did a lot of that. And that kept everybody's spirits up. And we do a lot of events as well and have a lot of fun together too.
Yeah, that's something that we just started implementing this last year was events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
great.
missed the boat on like the first 5 years of my career and didn't understand why. Because at some point, you can't just always send somebody a house and that be the touch and the affiliation with the brand, right? You got to create opportunity for people to just have a variety of experiences. What have been some of the most successful events you guys have done?
So we do a annual pumpkin. We give away pumpkins, but we also have Santa Claus, and we own a social club. So my dad, who's 88, looks legit. He comes play Santa. We have a photographer
Nice.
come. We usually have hundreds of people at that. It's really fun, and we
That's
offer
cool.
like free cocktails, and we have food, and that's cute. That's a big one. We're doing a fun one coming up, which is called like single and sold. So every single person that is single and sold a house or bought a house, we're doing a speed dating. That's not my idea. It's my single
No
girl.
way.
Wow, that is
Really
unique.
fun.
That sounds
Maybe
messy.
pretty good. It's
Yeah.
gonna be in April. Stay tuned. You guys should come down.
Well, the great.
My wife
We're
might get the
both
wrong
married.
I
idea.
know you're right. No,
Yeah.
my husband's gonna be like, what? No, but it's kind of
No.
fun because we have a lot of single clients too, or
Well,
people
and if you
divorced.
can get some of them married, it's like you can't have
Happy
two houses, guys. You
No,
need to sell one of your houses with us now.
I know that's a good one. And then what else? We just did one. Gosh, we do events all the time. I'm having like a launch party for a development that I have. I mean, we probably do an event like every other week. I'm not kidding. So I try to do
Wow.
micro events too, like small, like because I do have a social club, I offer that to our team and say like you can have the space for free always. So one of my agents is Brazilian, so she's having like a little Brazilian connection happy hour, and it doesn't have to be a big deal, but it could be 30 people, you know?
When you
Right.
say you own a social club, what do you mean?
It's called Fueled Collective, and it's in Rookwood in Hyde Park. And so it's like 25,000 square feet of offices, first floors, mostly event space. There's a bar. I have an office down here, and then we have a team office in another room. But there's like conference rooms, there's private offices, kitchen for lunch. So
You own the property?
we rent the property through a large development in Rookwood, which is a hub of Hyde Park.
Gotcha.
Who does the operations for the event venue?
So we have actually, I don't work for obviously for Fueled, but we have a operations guy here that he's a general manager that
Cool.
handles all of that. So
That's a really cool resource to have.
That is a
to
cool
go to.
resource.
It's
right.
pretty
So agents
competitive edge.
could, if you weren't, let's say here, you could go to, there's other social clubs out there
Yeah.
and kind of have a connection with them and throw events. One other thing I do is I have this women's platform called Her Story, and I'm taking my time doing it, but I
I
partnered
see
with
what you did there.
Great. Yeah, thank you. It's a good
I know
idea.
it's a good last
Pretty
name.
marketable.
I know.
I'm a little behind like launching some stuff, but that's, we're busy. But I partnered with this art gallery downtown that I love, and they came to me and said, "We have this cool idea. We should do it." Like I do pay them not a ton. I mean, I pay them, but like that's fair. I mean, they host these events and they put me all over. And they invite their sphere and then my sphere, and then they push it out to the press. And at one point we had 500 people coming.
Oh my word.
And I'm just standing there like Her Story, Team Hers there. So that's public, that's great marketing. And
Yeah.
so better than a postcard or a spot on TV that no one watches. So those kind of, I would tell other agents, go out and find a partner like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's
I'm-
unique.
What I'm hearing you say is try different stuff.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Don't yeah,
saying?
don't just be
And-
the postcard agent, I guess.
But you said you have a background in kind of an interest in art, right? So there's a natural kind of expression of who you are and why that would make sense to do something like that.
I would love to just be a whole media marketing company if I in my perfect world. And I do run the company like that, but I also have to do the other stuff too. So, but marketing is my passion. And I think
Yeah.
marketing gets confused. I have a ton of interns. They're always marketing interns. Marketing could be a flyer, but marketing is PR. Marketing is how do you connect with people? Where do you
This is
put it?
good.
There's
I'm glad you're
all
saying
this
this.
stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Because
But like,
we have struggled connecting with other agents who do agent marketing well. Because the
Yeah.
companies that are soliciting they're almost never the answer. They're
Right.
narrow mind. They're
Well,
approaching a segment.
Pretty much all they want to do is be like, "Hey, do paid ads with us and we'll
Right.
we'll fix your lead flow." And it's like, "Well, there's no easy button.
Yeah.
There's no like one company that you can go and be like, "Oh, I'm going to give you these thousands and thousands of dollars and you're just going to fix my business."
Marketing
like
is PR. I feel like that's profound.
that is good. I'm
That's
glad
what
you
I-
said that.
When you asked me the question about if would I ever be worried that they would go off, and I think that everyone knows that I love marketing so much that all I think about is it. So I'm constantly changing how I do things. And that's where I help them the most because a lot of them would spend so much money on things that they don't need. And I continuously execute like, okay, we're gonna just try something else. Don't listen to me. I'll let you know when it works. But I think it's constantly changing, like you said. And
Yeah.
there's no perfection in it, but PR's big. And that's the problem. You got to execute and you have to have PR. And it's not just a piece of paper or a paid ad. I mean, doesn't work. I mean, sometimes it does, but
All right. I got a
What-
question for you.
yeah.
Billboards.
yes,
Yay or nay?
never.
Never?
Personally, for me, it's not something that I would do.
Okay.
We were
Thank you.
told by our brokers in the past that it is a vanity spend and it's a waste
Yeah.
of money, doesn't actually give you leads. And so we've never done them, but a lot of other agents obviously do them all the time.
A vanity is my husband uses that word. I would say yes to that. It is a vanity. I think so I don't want people to get mad at me about this, and I'm not even going to say the names of the magazines, but some local publications that people have been asked to advertise. I feel bad because my team always wants to do it. I say no because I say you can do it. I don't want to spend $4,000 on that
Right.
because it's in a book. I would pay
Right.
that to put it out there somewhere, but I just can't do it. I don't know why. I just don't believe in it. I have paid though for some vanity spreads that have actually been very great. So every once in a while, a $100 deal that I did worked out. And I have a piece of paper to put inside my buyer's packet to take to my client's house to show them, hey, I was in this one magazine. But you
Yeah.
really waste a lot of money doing that.
So,
Interesting.
so what's your take on, this is more of a selfish question. What's your take on these big conglomerates, Zillow, homes.com,
Yeah.
realtor.com? I mean, everybody's trying to they blow up your phone
I
and
know.
everybody's trying to get you to spend money on their platform. I'm going to give you hot leads and they're going to be warm touches that you can just run with. Seems like it's never that simple. We've tried some of that stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And it is not what produces for us.
It doesn't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze.
Well, I don't do Zillow in Florida because everywhere in Florida, people would call and they're on vacation and they want to see a property. And it was like I was their travel agent or something, driving them around. Depends on your market.
Okay.
So I do Zillow in Cincinnati and Kentucky, and it's very profitable. I've
Okay.
been with them for 15 years. So I was one of the OGs. I do not do Flex. I did not want to do Flex because I didn't want my lenders to lose the business that they gave to me. And they also help me, and then also I didn't want my agents driving all over town. I wanted to pick the zip codes. I'm sure that'll change again, but we have been pretty profitable in the territories that we're in. And almost every single time I answer a phone and I never keep leads, it's somebody that I know calling, trying to cheat on someone else. You know what I mean? So they're calling and I'm always able to turn them around. But we've had really good ROI with it. It's so expensive though. So I
Yeah.
could see how agents would lose. It's like you have to take a little bit of that risk. But
Yeah.
then eventually it really comes around,
So
So
we did it in our area and it was honestly, we broke even.
yeah,
Like we spent a lot of money though for our team and it was like we broke even and we got people kind of in our system now and they're in our ecosystem and
right.
we do a good job at closing the back door and staying in contact and having the events and cultivating relationships. And so it still had some benefit, but man, it just felt like a lot of answering the phone for people that are investor. I was
It's
getting
a lot of
calls
work.
on all sorts of stuff that I was
Yeah.
like, I really don't want calls on this. But
Investors are the hardest ones, to be honest with you. I don't usually like to get those calls, but
yeah,
because they're pinging everybody and they're not usually loyal unless you have a good relationship. So
exactly.
I don't know, but I agree with you. Once they're in your database and you're able to recultivate them, it's great. But it's like having to manage it. At 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, someone's calling, I want to see a house in an hour.
Right. Yep.
I'm a referral agent, so all the business that I do is all referral. But when you have a team, you have to be able to feed them. Otherwise,
Right.
Yeah.
they're gonna go somewhere else to figure out how to get fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes
So,
sense.
so yeah,
Makes sense.
homes.com I've never invested or realtor.com. I've just decided that I would stay with what I started until that changes. And who knows? Look at what's going on with Zillow right now with everything. Maybe things will change, but in the meantime, they're good to me and we'll just keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
But I'm always prepared, for the next thing.
Yep. Well, we're going to jump into our smaller pockets segment.
Okay.
So Heather, go ahead and tell us about a deal that went wrong. It could have been something that you bought personally. It could have been a transaction that you were a part of. What
Okay.
went wrong? And then more importantly, what did you learn from it?
Okay, so a deal that went wrong. There's always some,
Yeah.
everyone says that everything is, there's like, what is it? 1 out of 10, there's always some kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I'm actually in one of them right now. And it was a property that I had in an urban neighborhood and I priced it. I got it from another agent. A lot of times, when something doesn't sell, someone will call you. So they're usually overpriced. And then you have to kind of reposition the property, buyer psychology, what's wrong with it, put it back on the market and had a buyer that wanted to buy it. And I'm really good at helping people with homes that need work. I know every contractor. Nothing makes me afraid of work. But this particular buyer doesn't want to be represented. You know how that goes. So I let them be unrepresented, but also drove the entire deal. And we got to the closing table and then they got cold feet and didn't want to close. And really, I kind of look back on that and I should have, I think, as an agent with my experience, should have had a little bit more say in what was going on that side. But that's such a
Yeah.
hard thing to deal with in our
Very
industry.
hard.
It is, yeah. Because if you push to represent somebody, you're just opening a lot of liability to yourself.
But I'm so grateful that my client was very loyal on the sell side and we took it off, put it back up. We're on a contract, we're closing soon. But it was just such a long journey that we could have probably shortened that timeline and it would have been a lot less work
In
for
what
everyone.
ways did the buyer kind of steer the transaction?
Oh my gosh. Well, they would just constantly send spreadsheets and want to have calls about the things in the house and like we're making things up after the fact outside of the guidelines and then coming. I
Mm.
mean, just things that you wouldn't like as an agent like at my level would have usually shut down right away, but then you're trying to be careful because of the industry and
Mm-hmm.
And you're
legality.
trying to be hopeful too because your
You never
client
know.
legitimately wants to sell this. And
Right.
so you're trying to, yeah,
And
that's
some people
tough.
don't want coaching. So, it's like some people are not coachable and that buyer was not. So I look back and like next time that something like that happens, I don't know, maybe I just don't want to represent or even be part of that. Like, and maybe I ask them to find representation, even an attorney, because they would have to pay someone a lot of money if they were an attorney.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, I may pull that one out of my pocket, but the good news is it has a happy ending. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot like how do you recover, and have those hard conversations with your seller, be upfront, you salvage that relationship. It's a terrible feeling when you can
It's a
feel a
terrible
transaction
feeling.
going sideways and you're just like,
Sure.
oh my gosh. And it's so emotional. Like
Yes,
it can really spiral out of control really quick.
it
All
is.
right. Well, we're going to go into what we call our little nugget.
Okay.
So, Heather, this is part of our show. You've given us a lot of really great advice, but this is something that's fundamental to the way that you operate, kind of at your core. What's an unwritten rule that you have that you're like, this has contributed to my success? I want to pass this advice on to someone else.
Okay. My rule would be that you have to really establish a good company mission so that you have a good company culture. And you have to make sure that every single person within your company understands the mission, understands the culture, and they also understand the system and processes that you have and review it constantly. And then go back to each person in those positions and make sure that they're good, ask a lot of questions, and also how they can feel supported and what their goals are. I think a lot of leaders don't do quarterly reviews with all of their people, their agents, and their staff to find out where they want to be and if they're heading the right direction.
Hmm.
Midway through a quarter, something could happen and someone's falling apart, and you're so busy you don't see it. And then, things hit the fan later and everything falls apart and you look bad. As a leader, I always say this to people. I always have to pretend like I'm wrong in everything because
Hmm.
if there's a mistake, it goes back on me. I've learned to be a better leader by taking all the blame. With
Yeah.
that being said, if I don't take the blame, that means that I'm not actually doing a good job making sure that everything is right. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to make mistakes, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but that for me has been the best thing I've ever done.
There's a book out there called Extreme Ownership,
Yeah.
which is exactly what you're talking about. It's just like at the end of the day, the bucks has to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
And so what you'd mentioned you have to have a good, strong mission, strong culture. What's your mission? I mean, what is that for you guys? What's your mission statement or your vision statement?
Have it by heart, but I should. It's like framed somewhere. But private real estate collection is a niche broker that services not just luxury. And even though for some reason people always tag me on luxury, I've been speaking a lot publicly. But luxury is how that you treat each other and your clients. It's not a price point, it's the
Mm.
lifestyle. I expect high standards within our company. I don't care if it's a $50,000 condo or a $6 million home. It's the same standard for everyone. And also the way that we interact with one another in the office. When I first started my company, there was a lot of bad behavior that I was allowing to happen instead of shutting that down. And I'm not afraid of that anymore. I can be the villain and make sure that people are on behavior. But our mission is really that we treat each other the same way and we have a high caliber threshold for our clients.
Yeah.
So each deal has its process, our stamp of approval.
What's your philosophy on paid coaching?
Well, I think coaching is really important. I actually was being coached for a really long time. And then I started doing this. I need to do it again, get back in another program. Then I kind of fell off on that because you get busy. But I do think coaching's huge when you get to a certain level. I think being in a high level mastermind is just as effective. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a mastermind as well that I'm with like people that are not even in real estate, but they're huge founders.
Yeah.
And we help each other so much. So I think it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure there's intention there if they're not in your industry. Just
Totally
to,
outside the industry. It's really
yeah.
weird.
Yeah, but like probably to see the similarity of what you guys are, wading
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. Building a business.
Yeah.
I mean,
And like having to be like the lonely at the top, they're the founder, the That's important. Coaching, though, I think is important. I've been encouraging my team to get coaching, each of them separately. So
Yeah.
we have coaching within our system set up so we can be coached by other top producers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the ownership thing because, this is my motto, no one cares.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so
Isn't that
stop
true?
looking over your shoulder for the cavalry to come.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's, once you sit there and receive that, you're able to make decisions from a better
Sometimes I
headspace.
look back at emails from like 5 years ago that I would send to my team, and I'm embarrassed about the person that I was because
Yeah.
the leadership that I thought was strong was not. And that's a perfect example. Like, no one cares if I had a bad day, and I don't care if they care. I mean, of course, everybody wants a hug, sometimes, but
Right.
I've gotten to that point though that it's like everyone, it's like having kids. They need to feel like
Yeah.
they're being taken care of. So I try to live with that, and it's just really helped me quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
then you can spin off one-on-one and have those conversations later. But
Yeah. And you
that's
have your core, the people you go to that are like, hey, I'm in the trenches with you. Yeah.
I have the funniest TikTok. I don't know, maybe I'll send it to you guys separately offline about somebody complaining about like it's this guy, and it literally it makes me laugh because it's exactly what we're talking about right now. He's just like he said something like my parents taught me how to be a hard worker and stuff. But if you think I'm not going to complain to somebody somewhere like my own family on a daily basis, then you're wrong because I got to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was cracking me up. So
Oh, that's
it was
funny.
cute.
Heather, in closing, where can people find out more about you, your team, the success you guys are having?
You could check out our website, which is teamher.com, and also Heather Herr, just my name, is my Instagram handle. I'm on there more than anything. Team Her Real Estate on Instagram. We have a lot of other pages, but those are my favorite. And again, my email is heather@teamher with 2Rs.com.
Well, and I know this might be a little soon, but you'd mentioned that you are starting your podcast.
I am.
And so when will that be released and where can people find that?
So actually the podcast is around my women's platform called Her Story. And I actually the website's up, it's herstory.com. I'm offering memberships to the social club that we operate out of. And the podcast room is in here. It's called Bring Your Voice. So it's on the website. You can kind of see where,
Cool.
it's going to be. And I have 3 groups that I'm going to start interviewing. And it has nothing to do with real estate, which is going to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to talk about real estate, but it's in that account through herstory.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anytime someone has a cool domain name, I'm always like, how much does that cost?
Well, the guy that had that is a rock star. There's a great story before we go. I was in New York City speaking at Inman, and I was trying to get that website launched, and it wasn't working. So I had to find this guy in New York to literally help me make that site in one day. And then I did a live outside in Manhattan, like my website's live, and it was a hot mess. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to put it out there,
Yeah.
and it was great. So I'm glad I did.
So that domain was just available, or did you have to buy that domain?
I bought that. I
Okay.
bought that. Yeah, and I actually trademarked everything. I mean, I've been working on
Yeah.
this for, you know how it is. Like,
You have such a great last name that's brandable. My last name is Ciminillo. Good luck trying to do anything with that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna be figuring out anything creative with that.
So is this your maiden name or is that
my married name.
Your maiden
Yeah.
name?
Yeah,
Little-
it's a good name. I know.
Little
It's like
strategy there.
it's
He
history.
kind of knew. He's like, I think I'm pretty bankable here.
Kind of a cool name though. I do like it for that
That's
kind of
funny.
stuff. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for sharing with our audience, sharing with us, and sharing about your business and what you're doing.
Well, it's nice to meet you both, and I look forward to meet you in person soon again. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. As always, excited that you joined us for another episode of the Reinvest Podcast. If you want to learn how you can use your hard-earned capital to diversify into real estate, go to our website, reinvestcapital.us, and shoot us a message. Move farther, reach higher, and grow deeper.